Hello and welcome to News OSU for Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. I'm Kelsey Briggs. Thank you for joining us. We have in-depth team coverage of the polar vortex that covered America in snow this week. Siberian air combined with tropical moisture has swept across the nation. Governor Kevin Stitt declared a state of emergency as the frigid weather approached Oklahoma. Temperatures were below freezing for 10 days, which is the most in nearly 40 years. Temperatures reached as low as -15 degrees, with wind chills around -30. 8 to 10 inches of snow fell, and Boomer Lake froze completely over. The extreme winter weather has wreaked havoc across the southern states, causing thousands of people to go without power. Destiny Adams has more now.
For the first time in history, every county in Texas was hit with snow due to extreme winter weather conditions. Unlike the rest of the nation, the state of Texas operates its own power grid. The Electric Reliability Council of Texas regulates all the energy that runs through Texas in alignment to the state's refusal to connect with interstate electrical grids. Millions of residents suffered from this decision made decades ago, leaving residents without power, heat, and food for days, some even freezing to death. Even though the snow has stopped falling, thousands are still without power today. Weather alerts from across the nation couldn't prepare many for what was to come, but once the heavy winter storm hit, various electric conservation tips were sent out via social media, mostly coming from the state of Texas. Tips such as turning your thermostat down to 68 degrees, no matter how cold it was outside, was one of those ways. Stillwater residents were also affected by the winter storm. Many locals and students had trouble with their piping systems due to below freezing temperatures. Stillwater Emergency Manager Rob Hill said the city was aware of the storm and prepared for below freezing temperatures.
There will be probably issues for quite a while with power and a little bit of water, and long-term effect I think we'll recover probably in the next 30-45 days. There may be some damage to equipment that froze due to the Siberian colds that came through, those temperatures that came through. There will probably be some damages to some equipment that'll have to be replaced. It may take a while, but probably nothing more than maybe a 6-month time frame.
The impact of the winter storm has emergency crews hard at work at Oklahoma State University. Here's a look at how campus prepares for winter weather. With temperatures dropping below freezing for over 10 days, a snowfall of nearly 6 inches, and rolling power outages, Oklahoma State University was forced to move back to the virtual classroom.
You can't make everybody happy. There are going to be people that would have preferred a different decision.
Days before the winter storm, an inclement weather committee composed of nearly 15 university officials met to discuss how the university could safely move forward with classes. The facilities management team began salting sidewalks and placing caution signs all over campus. OSU Public Information Officer Shannon Rigsby says she was prepared to alert campus of closing and virtual classes.
The inclement weather committee calls a meeting. That is when I sit down and review the messages and start thinking about maybe what needs to be included in a message to our students, faculty, and staff.
And all of those preparations were crucial. For reference, I'm 5'11", and the snowdrift comes clear to the top of my head, and it's from one single parking lot here on campus. That being said, a lot of manpower is needed to help with the cleanup. Chief Facilities Officer of OSU Facilities Management, Ron Tarbutton, says his team had to use some heavy equipment in order to make campus accessible.
Although we have a lot of equipment that we use with our lawn care equipment, for example, riding mowers, but that was not going to be adequate this time. We also rented a road grader, several more sweepers, and plows and skid steer to help with that effort.
OSU plans to have a safe return for students by clearing the roads, sidewalks, and parking lots. For more information about the Emergency Action Plan, visit fm.okstate.edu. Kelsey Briggs, News OSU. Everyone had to change their plan due to the weather, and teachers were no exception. The combination of ice, snow, and extremely cold temperatures led Oklahoma State University to move classes back online, like they were during the COVID-19 lockdown. Here's Maggie Burke with more.
With the winter weather that came through Stillwater, Oklahoma for the last 2 weeks, snow days looked a little different than they have in the past. After canceling classes for 2.5 days due to ice 2 weeks ago, the university announced that any following snow days would transition to virtual learning. Last week, OSU went online for the whole week. This made possible by the framework set by being in a pandemic. With over 10 days of below freezing temperatures, 6 inches of snow, and a layer of ice under that with no chance to thaw, making it to campus for classes was less than ideal. Associate Provost and Director of the Institute for Teaching and Learning Excellence at OSU, Chris Ormsby, says that the preparation and training they went through last spring while moving online for COVID-19 allowed for an easy transition online for the snow days this spring.
If you want to look at a positive from the pandemic, we've all become much more tech savvy. We've learned that you can do things through technology. It's not going to be the same. It might not even be as good, but it's possible to keep things going. And I think that's what we were hoping for.
OSU moving classes online last spring due to COVID-19 made it possible for the university to teach and learn from home in order to stay safe from more than just the virus. Holding school virtually allows professors and students to keep the academic momentum going rather than falling behind when they cannot make it to campus.
We're all going to wish that we didn't actually have to go to class, but it is nice. Our tuition is paying for our classes, so we need to go to class, and it is nice to be able to just hop on even if we do have a snow day.
Classes returned to campus this week, and the university has announced their plans for a normal in-person schedule next fall. For News OSU, I'm Maggie Burke.
The Oklahoma City Thunder braved the cold and hosted the Portland Trail Blazers on Tuesday. Some Oklahomans were upset that the game was played in the first place. David Moore has the story.
Oklahoma City Thunder fans were disappointed to see their team lose to the Portland Trail Blazers on Tuesday night. Other OKC natives were furious that the game took place to begin with. Southwest Power Pool is the corporation that manages the electrical grid for Oklahoma and 13 neighboring states. Never before seen snowfall and low temperatures stretched the SPP to its electrical limit. The SPP declared a Level 3 energy emergency, meaning Oklahomans across the state experienced power outages. The thought of NBA players playing in a lit, warmed arena while Oklahomans were asked to conserve energy and deal with rolling blackouts didn't sit right with many people. While the Thunder hosted the Blazers, this was the grim reality for many Oklahomans across the state who were without power amid the winter conditions. Sinks that were left to drip now sit frozen solid, and temperatures inside the house reach below freezing. Era Suja lives only minutes away from Chesapeake Energy Arena and was hit hard by the winter weather. She lost heat and water in her home and, like many residents, has been asked by the city to conserve energy. Space heaters whirred as she tried to keep herself and her 2 furry companions warm.
Stayed here for a couple of days, and I got a heater in my room, so it warmed up. And then it got so cold, much colder. I said, no, I better stay somewhere else when it's cold, when it's warmer, because otherwise it's not going to be good for me, for my health.
Suja has been staying with a family member, but comes back to check on her 2 cats. Inside, the house was so cold that water poured for the cats would instantly freeze. Suja says that playing Tuesday night's game was unnecessary and the team could have done more.
Could have postponed it. Yes, definitely. They could have postponed it and said, hey, there's a lot of people in Oklahoma that needs help. Maybe we should help them instead of playing games.
The Thunder released a statement saying measures were taken to reduce the amount of energy used during the game. Thunder officials say all non-essential lights like video boards, outside monitors, and lights on the concourse were turned off for the game. The Thunder's next home game will be on Monday, where power levels should be returning to normal. For News OSU, I'm David Moore.
While the people of Texas struggled without power and water, a political leader in Texas decided that wasn't for him. As the state was hit hard with mass power outages and loss of water during the record snowstorms, Senator Ted Cruz was seen taking his family to Cancun, Mexico. Senator Cruz returned after 24 hours, saying he didn't want all the screaming and yelling about this trip to distract even one moment from the real issues that I think Texans care about. Cruz's impromptu vacation left many Texans feeling like they may not all be in this together. During times of crisis and extreme weather, it's more important than ever that people stick together and help each other. A group of OSU students found a way to do just that. Caitlin Seiler has more.
Around 1 in 10 college students experience period poverty each month, but what does this mean? Period poverty refers to the issue of being able to afford hygiene products such as pads, tampons, and liners to manage menstruation. The OK State Red Pantry Committee was organized to address this problem on campus.
Menstrual products just like these can cost anyone up to around $160 in a year and over $6,000 in a lifetime. Students who can't afford these products may use unsafe alternatives instead that could result in pain, infections, or even cervical cancer.
OK State Red Pantry currently has 2 locations on campus where students can pick up menstrual hygiene products at no cost. OK State Red Pantry President Soraya Coe says she was inspired to start the Red Pantry after her own personal experiences with period poverty.
And then as I got to college, I was kind of scrimping and saving and making sure that I could keep them and last as long as possible because they're surprisingly more expensive than you would think when you're more on a budget.
OK State Red Pantry is currently working with the Student Government Association and other campus organizations to spread the word about the Red Pantry locations. OK State Red Pantry Educational Subcommittee Chair Rosa Gorham says that the Red Pantry has events in the works to make menstrual education more accessible to students.
We're aiming to have a pamphlet on period poverty and a pamphlet on menstruation, what is menstruation, what is a period, out by hopefully March, by the end of March. So we hope to have those available at all of our pantry locations.
Students who would like to donate products or volunteer for OSU Red Pantry are encouraged to email osuredpantry@gmail.com. For News OSU, I'm Caitlin Seiler.
The Oklahoma State basketball season is grinding down as the Cowboys are hoping to secure a high seed in the NCAA tournament next month. However, all the Cowboys' focus this week will be for their 2 Bedlam matchups against Oklahoma. Bedlam will begin down south in Norman this weekend when the Cowboys face the Sooners on Saturday at 2 p.m. As of right now, the Cowboys' last scheduled game of the season will be on Monday at home against OU. Now I say as of right now because the Cowboys still have 2 games to make up against West Virginia and Baylor. Neither of those games have a definite date yet, and who even knows if the Big 12 will have those teams make up those games. The Sooners are no joke this year and will be a serious match for the Cowboys this weekend. OU currently sits 7th in the AP polls and are led by an elusive player in Austin Reeves. The 6'5" guard will arguably be Cade Cunningham's biggest matchup of the season as the senior averages almost 17 points per game. OSU's game plan this weekend needs to focus on 3 things: defense, defense, and defense. The Sooners have 4 players who average double figures per game and will surely cause trouble for the Cowboys. But guard Avery Anderson says the team's defensive focus has been a priority.
Everybody's doing what they're supposed to do on defense, like talking, blocking shots, being in the right positions on defense and helping each other. And that's all coming in well in practice.
We are a little less than a month away from March Madness, and these last 2 games are key in shaping the Cowboys' path in the tournament. ESPN bracketology analyst Joe Lenardi currently has the Cowboys as an 8 seed and would face 9th seed San Diego State. If the Cowboys win, they will likely be facing the number 1 team in the country, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Yikes. Something else to look forward to for OSU Athletics is tomorrow's home game for the Cowboy baseball team at the newly opened O'Brate Stadium. This game is more than a year in the making, as the Cowboys were supposed to play at O'Brate last season. Many believed O'Brate Stadium was going to be ready for OSU's home opener in 2020, but it got pushed back to OSU's Big 12 opener last March. We all know what big event occurred in March, as all NCAA spring sports were canceled due to COVID-19. The Cowboys can christen their new stadium against Little Rock at 4 p.m. OSU will then have its first weekend series starting Friday when it hosts Illinois State. Remember, the Cowboy basketball team will face OU on Saturday at 2 p.m. in Norman and Monday at 8 p.m. in Stillwater. We'll have more on that in next week's edition of News OSU Sports.
Thanks, Joe. That's all the time we have for this week's News OSU. I'm Kelsey Briggs. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time on News OSU.